Welcome back to another episode of Chicago Brewed Sports. As always, we are joined by Brandon Nordley to my left, and to my right is Joe Klett. As for myself, my name is Andrew Nordley, and we are a podcast for the fans, by the fans. Question for you gentlemen today. How are we feeling about the podcast? Brandon?
I'm feeling pumped up today. I know we're going to get into it. I can't wait to talk about the Blackhawks. Opening day was yesterday, so like I said, I can't wait for that. As far as everything else goes, obviously you were there, but Andrew and I, we had just gotten back from one of our good buddies' weddings in Tennessee. Shout out to Richie, Openlock, and Daniela as well. It was awesome seeing you guys,
Richie.
And we had a phenomenal time, but I'm ready to get into it, man.
Joe?
Yeah, just excited to be here. We got a lot to talk about, some interesting topics we're going to be talking about. So yeah, let's get into it.
Definitely. Well, guys, we have a lot to cover tonight. Make sure to stay tuned in for our opinions over the Bears' first win of the season. Yes, the losing streak is over. Pretty ridiculous. And could a three-time All-Star and two-time home run derby champion be headed to Chicago? Maybe. And of course, Connor Bedard making his NHL debut. We'll begin the podcast by covering the Chicago Bears. Joe?
Yeah, so I guess we'll get into the Chicago Bears here. So I'm going to start off with some football, not necessarily the Chicago Bears. So one of the questions I want to bring up is should refs have to pay a fine or get some kind of penalty if a call is missed or they're not calling something that's an obvious penalty and that they know is a penalty. For example, so the Vikings versus the Chiefs game on Sunday, end of the fourth quarter, just under 5 minutes left, Vikings at the Chiefs' 25-yard line. A critical pass interference call was originally called, but then it was taken back. It was an obvious pass interference, and then the defensive back Snead took his helmet off to argue with the ref to say that he wasn't pass interference. And the ref literally mouthed, "Put back your helmet on," or "Put your helmet back on." Sorry, I can't talk today. And if you guys don't know, if you take your helmet off right after a play, it's considered a penalty. So he did it right in front of the refs. So it's almost like they're rubbing it in our face, the power of the refs, that they're able to get away with some of this stuff.
And of course, of all the teams, the Chiefs would be the one on the positive end of that.
So I did see a thing, though, that the Chiefs in 2018 did get the most penalties, but they were just starting off. Patrick Mahomes wasn't he didn't even play that year. I think he did. He was drafted in 2017, played in 18, so yeah. But as of right now, there's no penalty for the refs, but they do get evaluated by each game by senior refs that are retired. And they get a point system, I guess, how it works for missing stuff. And they can miss out on senior positions. They can miss out on reffing the playoffs or the Super Bowl. And they could also be possibly forced to resign. So there is some kind of consequence, but I don't think there's a big enough consequence to where they're purposely not. It seems like sometimes they're purposely missing calls, but other times, if you missed it, that's one thing. But, that's a critical. The Vikings they would have been right, if that call would have been a pass interference, they would have been right in the end zone, right at the Chiefs' end zone, and, it would have been, first and goal. And it did not get called, and I thought it was BS. And people also said it was a roughing the passer, the way Kirk Cousins got hit. So there was 3 penalties on that play, and none of them were called. So what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think that there should be some kind of penalty for the refs? Do you think they should have some time off, suspended, have to pay a fine? What do you guys think?
I think that if they miss a major call, if they if they sway the game in a major way, I think there should be some repercussions. Going back to baseball, this is I believe in 2006 or something, when Galarraga was about to get a perfect game, the handlebar mustache umpire, I'm sure everyone remembers, he blew a perfect game call for Galarraga, which would have been at the time I think the 21st in history, which is unheard of. But yes, I do believe that if a referee messes up a game really bad, then there should be some sort of repercussion.
Absolutely, there should be a fine or something.
But if it's a small scale one,
well, use your best.
That happens.
Use your best judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate about it is that from an entertainment perspective, you can't go back on those things. Like what happened with Galarraga, like I think that there should be some sort of element where this element of where you can, preserve the history books and guys who deserve to be in it should be in it. Like Galarraga, for example, he'll never be considered a perfect game guy, but the fact is he had a perfect game. So, it's unfortunate that that'll never change. They got to hold the integrity of history of the sport. But Joe, I think my thoughts on this are just simply that, I feel like referees, they're always kind of like in the background, like no one really cares. No one looks to say, like even in baseball, at least myself, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Comment below if you think I'm wrong. You guys can debate me, but I'm not watching a football game and giving a shit who the referees are or who the umpires are. I don't care about the name. I don't care about any of that. There are a few people like Angel Hernandez in the MLB who like
Joe West.
For famous bad blown calls, things like that. But in the NFL, there's not a single referee that I can think of that I can just picture his name because of a bad call or bad history. But I think that's my first point. I think referees just kind of fly under the radar, so they kind of have their own way of coming in and out. I'm sure there are referees that get fired that we don't even know about, or it's just such a small story that we just don't realize it. And then the next guy's up, we don't care. I also think, Joe and Andrew, that there's always going to be bias when it comes to professional sports. Always. I think I sent you guys a message in the group chat earlier today, shooting the shit, and it was, I think it was in 2019 or something of that nature. Tom Brady took a roughing the passer call on a flick. He got flicked in the helmet from Chris Jones, the defensive lineman, and it was it's because it's Tom Brady. If you're an all-star, if you're a LeBron James, if you're a Tom Brady, if you're a Steph Curry, you're going to get those calls in your favor. And I think whatever they're doing, I'm not going to interfere with it. It's unfortunate what transpires sometimes in the way that it writes the history books, but it is what it is, man. Every sports franchise has gone through it. Another example, I can give you guys a quick example of when we were on the good end of an issue like that. I remember with the Chicago White Sox in 2005, there was that whole debacle with A.J. Pierzynski, with getting to first base on what actually was a strikeout. Nothing ever changed. That's just the result of what happened, and sometimes you're on the good end, sometimes you're on the bad end. Just hope it's your lucky day. Yeah. Sorry, I know, boys, that was very long-winded. I hope I made some good points. I know that was long-winded, but
hopefully something happens, so more fair calls are being played. All right, to get into the Bears, I hate to say this, a Bears legend had passed away October 5th, 2023, Dick Butkus. One of the original monsters of the Midway. It's sad to see, but after his death, the Bears played, and I feel like the Bears won their first game after he passed away, and Dick Butkus, his spirit reawakened the Chicago Bears. I feel like they were playing for him that day for sure. And it was just awesome to see that. If that was a game that you were going to win after a legend, the Chicago Bears legend, passes away, that's the game. That's what you want to see. You want to, if they're I don't even care if they lose the rest of their games. I mean, I do care, but as long as they defended Dick Butkus' honor, which they did, which is was happy to see that. I don't know what your guys' comments are on any of that, but that's how I feel about it.
Well, it's nice that let's just believe that the Bears dedicated that game to Dick Butkus, right? And they won that game. But why don't we just dedicate the rest of the season to Dick Butkus and go out there and, play like an actual football team?
Absolutely.
That's my opinion on that. But rest in peace to one of the greats. He was well loved in Chicago and all around the league. So, that sucks. That sucks for us.
Dick Butkus, he's just one of many fantastic linebackers that the Bulls have had in our storied franchise. He's probably the best, if not one of the best. There's no question about it. He'll be missed. It was a fantastic game. I can't wait to kind of talk about some of the specifics about the game. But rest in peace to Dick Butkus. The season's for you, bud.
I think one of his, don't quote me on this, but I guess one of his last quotes that he said was, "Someone give me a quarterback to tackle," which is pretty legendary.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Dick Butkus. Another question I have. So this is all retaining to the Bears' performance. Do you guys think that DJ Moore finally unlocked Justin Fields' potential?
You know what?
It really does seem like that. I mean, after the performance he had, it was pretty incredible.
I think that so the week before last game, DJ Moore and Justin Fields had a good game, as it is, and then you followed up with a second week of good football between Fields and DJ Moore. I think moving forward, you're going to see Justin Fields target DJ Moore a lot more, which is what he should have been doing all season. So I do think that relationship is going to continue to grow, and I think Fields and DJ Moore are going to continue to get better. That's what should have been happening all along. Why did we go out and get DJ Moore if we're not going to give him freaking tough passes, or let's challenge DJ Moore? That's why we got him. He's one of the best receivers in the league.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. Good points, Andrew. I saw a lot of good things out of DJ Moore this week. I think we all know that. I think first and foremost, I think I saw Fields hit a couple wide open passes to DJ Moore. That could, I could pay homage to his ability to get open. But I can also say that I saw DJ Moore also make some plays in traffic. So, he's versatile. He's a very talented kid. What I found really interesting, too, about the stat line of the game in its entirety was that there were 15 receptions in the entire game, and 8 of them went to DJ Moore.
That's what you want to see.
What am I talking about? Mooney had 0 receptions for 0 yards. I think Komet was the second leader with 5 receptions and a handful of yards. So I think it was just, this game was clear evidence that DJ Moore and Justin Fields are A1 and AB right there. They have a good rapport.
That's if I could just say one thing before we move on. That's very surprising to me that Darnell Mooney didn't have a single catch.
He had 2 targets, I believe, 0.
If the Bears are targeting DJ Moore, that's going to open up the field for the other wide receivers.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Andrew, because what it did was, you're right, and it absolutely should, because at the end of the day, if DJ Moore is having that much success, maybe double cover him, put some more assets towards him. However, what it did open up, and I've been talking about this all year long, boys, the run game finally opened up, and I think it opened up because of DJ Moore.
Yeah.
I think not necessarily just Moore, but the fact that the passing game became a threat, I think it opened up the ability for the Bears to run the ball. If I'm not mistaken, I think combined between Khalil Herbert and Justin Fields, they combined for about 21 rushes and about 135 yards rushing. That's a good rushing game. And if you can establish those that rush ability, you're also going to pass well. When you 50-50 the game plan, your scheme, it opens up the possibilities, right? That's a very good sign. You know what? Another thing, I saw a lot of consistency with this Bears team this week. Last week is a great example of this, right? We saw the Bears come out hot, firing on all cylinders in the first half. What happens? We can't get it together in the second half. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that to you, Joe? That's inconsistency, which is what we see a lot with this team. So to be able to see the team throughout the entire game produce on both defense and offense is the reason why we won this game.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on to Matt Eberflus a little bit here. I think that DJ Moore and Justin Fields saved his job. Honestly, I think that if they would have lost this game, regardless of how close it was, Matt Eberflus would have been fired. I honestly believe that. I know in Bears history, they've never fired a coach mid-season or any time in the season, and I think Eberflus was a candidate for being one of those people being cut. Luckily, the Bears had a great game. They were not favored. They were actually Vegas had them at -6.5, or Washington to win the game. So I'm glad they came through and won. But then again, I really don't think Matt Eberflus is a good coach. I don't think he brings anything to the organization. He's calling defensive plays now. I think defense has gotten a little better. It seems like we got some players coming back. I heard Kyler Gordon is coming back, our quarterback. So Eddie Jackson, I heard, might be returning as well. So we'll see. Hopefully our defense starts to improve better than they were at the start of the season, and our offense looks like it's finally starting to kickstart things off here. Moving on to former NFL defensive end Chris Canty said that we should trade Justin Fields now, that his value would be at the highest. So, do you guys think he's our guy? Should we sell him? Or is it too early to tell? Should we let the season play out?
Let the season play out.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a ridiculous comment. I know I was a harsh critic on Fields to begin the season, but
yeah.
You saw what a DJ Moore and Justin Fields duo can look like, and it looks special. Like,
I don't want to give myself too much credit here, but I do think this could spark some debate. I did go on record in the first couple weeks of this season saying that I feel bad for Fields. He's getting a lot of the heat.
Yeah.
Some of it's deserved, but not all. And both you guys came on here week after week and said, no, Justin Fields is awful. How do you feel about that now? How is your opinion differed, and why do you feel differently about how you felt before to how you feel now?
So, Brett, you go first.
Okay, well let's not pretend like Justin Fields played like dog shit to begin the season, number one.
Yeah, he did.
Like, there was many opportunities to where he had a wide open pass, where he had a good opportunity to throw it here, and he just didn't make the call. So I think our anger was justified, and it was very disappointing to see the Bears not win games that they should have been winning in the first place, and that's most likely the head coach or the quarterback's fault, depending on how you look at it. But I think I do kind of retract what I said, because, like I said, I'm beating a dead horse here, but finally, we're using our number one wide receiver like how we should be, and it's I can't talk right now, excuse me, and it's paying dividends. So I retract what I said. I hope they keep up the good work and continue to trend forward.
Yeah.
Joe, you look like you were about to rip into me. What's going on?
No, I agree with everything Andrew said. I will add in on that the preseason game. I know you can't really go off anything on the preseason game, but I was concerned when Justin Fields had reps with all these starters the whole offseason, and then you have Tyson Bagent come in to get some reps, and he's throwing to Rice, who is a wide receiver 5 that didn't even make the team, and he looked better than Justin Fields. Everyone was saying, oh, you really think that Luke Getsy's going to release all the awesome plays? No, he doesn't want to show any of the good stuff to the rest of the NFL. He's not going to go all the good plays. This is just the preseason. There is plays in place for Justin Fields and DJ Moore and the rest of the wide receivers. The first 3 games, they got their asses kicked, and it looked very sad. And it looked very concerning. And yes, I did say that after the 3rd game, the 2nd game, and maybe even the 1st, that, man, this is concerning the way Justin Fields is playing. People broke down all 22s, were saying that wide receivers weren't getting open. There was plays that were called multiple times at the same plays, so it was easy for the defenses to pick up on the plays or pick the balls up. So, yeah, I think that not only Fields wasn't playing good the first 3 games, I also think that the play calling was not good the first 3 games, and the defense was horrendous. So yeah, it wasn't just Justin Fields. I said this before, that it was also Luke Getsy and the rest of the coaching staff, all the crap that was going on with Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator. The organization at the beginning was a mess. Yeah, maybe any quarterback that was put in a situation like that would not do good, But we have seen it where quarterbacks are put in bad organizations and still shine with no talent around them. Right now, look at C.J. Stroud. Look how great he's doing. What does he really have around him? Look at Deshaun Watson when he was on the Texans. It's kind of funny that C.J. Stroud and Deshaun Watson were both on the Texans.
Hopkins.
Yeah.
I think Joe brings up a very, very good point. I think you're 100% right, Joe. I think the reason why I do have some unwavering support towards Justin Fields and, an argument against getting rid of him is that I don't think we can just forget about what Justin Fields did last year. I don't care how abysmal of a start it's been. I mean, I get it. Those first 3 weeks were fucking brutal. I think a big part of why those weeks were so brutal is because of how high expectations we had going in. Which, as we should have, right? I think those were valid expectations for us to have. But Justin Fields looked really good last year. He ran the ball fantastic. He seemed like a good leader. The team morale, I don't care how many games we lost. We were in a lot of games, and we felt like we were close. And there's a reason why we came into this season with so much optimism. It's because of how well Justin Fields personally played last year. So it's like how... you gotta debate how much can we disregard what he did last year, and then just throw it all away in 3 games and say, you know what, none of that was valid. Because I think it is something to hang your hat on, and I think Justin Fields, as soon as things got at a rock bottom low, he's working out the kinks. And you know what? It's hard to say. I mean, it's a good thing. Again, it's a good thing I'm not a GM because it's a hard choice. On what to do, but I'm with Fields for now. I want to play it out a little bit. I mean, come on, guys. What if we beat Denver? We'd be 2-3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'd be tied with the Packers.
That's what I'm saying. We'd be tied with the Packers. The Vikings are looking abysmal. They just, Justin Jefferson just went down. Like, you're 2-3. You muster up a couple more wins, right? You beat the Vikings this week. You're 3-3.
Yeah. I don't think it was ever realistic to sit Justin Fields. I think it would have sent a good message to the team if we sat Justin Fields
with Suzuki.
Yeah, in a sense, it just means and get your head in the game. Maybe give him a mental fresh or refresh in the game. But Bajan's the type of dude who will come in if Justin Fields gets injured. Bajan would never start over Fields. The Bears drafted Fields way too high. Yeah, and it's as simple as that.
Well, to be honest, man, we'll never really know if Bajan will ever be
that's what I'm trying to say. Bajan will get his opportunity if a quarterback goes down. Yeah. Otherwise he'll never get playing time.
I think we need to start looking at the bigger picture of the Chicago Bears. I think week in, week out, I think we touch base on Justin Fields a little bit too much. And I think, yes, of course, he's a major contributor or issue with the team. Quarterback's important, right? But I just think the bigger picture is what we need to look at. I think the fact that they're making strides this week, the fact that they are running the ball better, week by week, let's keep evaluating how the team performs as a whole, as opposed to just saying, hey, Justin Fields. You know what I'm saying?
No, very true.
So we'll see.
Let's hope Carolina keeps losing.
So right now, let's wait till I'll say this right now, and I'm sure I speak for everyone here, is that we need to let Justin Fields play out the season and see if he is consistent enough to play it out like he's playing now. If he does consistently play like he has been playing, then yes, he's 100% our quarterback. And I wanted to ask you guys, on a confidence level, what do you guys think on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, obviously? What level would you put Fields for confidence that he's our guy? Right now, I'm going to say 5. I think that it's a 50% chance that he is our guy. I think that's fair to say. That's us.
Yes, I was going to say 50% as well, in my opinion. So I do agree with you, Joe.
Brandon, you can't be the same.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna be the same. You know what? I'm gonna go higher than that. I'm gonna go with like a 7.
All right.
My rationale for that is that I think the Bears have been through so much turmoil that, with just, I could name so many different guys, but we've gone through so many quarterbacks, and the Bears, in terms of the quarterback position, have been in turmoil for so long that I think the Bears are willing to give these quarterbacks a little bit longer of a leash, especially if you're a guy like Fields who really does have the talent. It's just about clicking one day. Like, Fields comes off as one of those guys that, like, late in his career, everything can click and he can be an absolute stud. So I personally feel like the Bears should have a longer leash on Fields. I think, you know what, we might have to suffer for a couple years with Fields not having the best team and talent around him. Especially, and I'm not talking from a skill position. I'm talking from, the gritty front seven, and the O-line, front seven defense, O-line. Like, those guys need to be shored up. The defensive backs needs to be shored up. We need to get healthy. I think once all that happens, I think things will click for Fields. For that reason, I think he's going to be our guy long term. I could be wrong, but I truly am a believer of that.
So
it's a fair assessment.
So the reason why I gave 50% is, I'm liking what I see the last couple of games over Justin Fields, but I just need to see more consistency, and he needs to and give us some more, and if he does, that number is going to obviously rise up. But as of right now, I cannot give 70% because, I haven't really seen other than the last game and a half.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the things I want to bring up, we talked about how Dick Butkus his spirit might have reawakened the Bears. We talked about DJ Moore potentially unlocking Justin Fields' potential. And another thing I want to bring up is the Claypool curse broken. The Bears didn't start winning until he was out of the picture. The 14-game losing streak started when he was traded, and for the 32nd overall pick, which was a big bust in my opinion. Do you think that now that Claypool is out of the picture, do you think that the curse is broken and the Bears are going to start winning again? It does seem kind of funny that it all started when he left.
Well, you always want to get rid of cancers in the freaking clubhouse, and that's just every sport in general. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you're just a bad human being, if you're just a bad freaking teammate, that's going to cause a lot of issues in the clubhouse, which is going to carry on to how you perform on the field. So, if it is a curse, I'm glad that the curse is broken. I hope it's broken. But yeah, Claypool needed to get out of Chicago for sure.
Yeah, good question, Joe. I think for me, I'm taking more of a conservative approach to this question. At the end of the day, the Bears got what they wanted. They got rid of clubhouse cancer, as Andrew mentioned. Claypool being gone equals less drama within the clubhouse. They can focus on moving forward and not dealing with what's in the past, right? And also, good for Chase Claypool, right? I'm not going to be petty. I don't care what happened with the Bears. And if you want my honest opinion, I think that Chase Claypool from, in terms of being a professional, I don't love the way that he handled not getting any volume and being on such a team that was struggling so mightily. But at the end of the day, if you're a competitor in the NFL and your team's playing like that, I would be frustrated too. So I'm not going to hold anything over on Chase Claypool. Congratulations to him for going to the Miami Dolphins, who are a fantastic team, a true playoff Super Bowl contender, and I wish only the best to him. And now the Bears can move forward, and that's it. I don't care about Chase Claypool anymore.
After the game when they won, they showed a video of all the players in the clubhouse or locker room, jumping up and down and partying and smiling. It was just a really feel-good moment to see a young team like that finally win after so long. So, good point with Claypool. Hopefully he does well in Miami with no animosity towards him, but it was time for him to leave.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If you guys are wondering, we traded Claypool for a 6th round, so at least we didn't just because there was talks of just cutting him and not getting anything. So at least we got something.
Right.
6th round doesn't sound like much, but it's something. Yeah, I would have rather had our 32nd overall pick.
Right.
But
of course.
You
win some, you lose some.
Just to make a statement here that Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, and our running back Khalil Herbert was also drafted in the 6th round. So there is some diamonds in the rough.
Wasn't Brock Purdy drafted?
Really well? Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy's doing good.
But I feel like.
But his team's ridiculous.
But yes, he's playing to his standard, like a good QB would. So Yeah, and in exchange, the Dolphins get our 7th-round pick, which, whatever, they could have it, and Chase Claypool, which absolutely they can have. Eddie Jackson said the reason with all the drama with Chase Claypool is that because he wasn't getting the ball enough, so he was causing drama and not performing well. To me, that is just unacceptable. I mean, that reminds me of the Antonio Brown deal, where Antonio Brown threw his jersey off and all this other crap because he wasn't getting the ball because he wanted his extension bonus. You need so many receptions, so many yards.
There's bonuses.
Which is bullshit, So, so to not perform because you think, dude, Justin Fields ain't going to throw it to you if you're not open and you're not performing. He's trying to look good too, man. So, you got to go out there and perform. Look at Quinnipiac St. Brown. He's not the greatest. His brother, I wish we had, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But, he's a good blocker. That's why we're keeping him around because he actually tries. He goes out there and performs. So, I hope the best for Chase Claypool. Maybe things will work better for him in Miami, but they obviously were not working here. So Brian Urlacher, I thought this was very interesting. I listened to 670 The Score. So he doesn't think that the Bears are losing so much in the past decade is a coaching or a player problem. That we also got rid of a coach that brought us to the playoffs twice and won Rookie Coach of the Year, which he's talking about Matt Nagy. Basically, what Brian Urlacher is saying that he thinks that this is a McKaskey problem. And he also said that he liked Matt Eberflus as a coach. Brian Urlacher is one of the greatest linebackers probably of all time. So you would think he would, obviously he's a pretty credible guy. You have to take his word very seriously, I would say. I know he had a talk. I think he likes Matt Eberflus as a person. And I don't necessarily know if he really truly means that Matt Eberflus is a good coach. Just from what I'm seeing, what other sports analysts are saying, what other journalists are saying about Matt Eberflus, to me he does not seem like a good coach. And I don't think he brings anything to the Bears.
Joe, can I comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I could not agree more with Urlacher. I think Urlacher's saying what I think all Bears fans are thinking, right? I think when you're the Chicago Bears, and I know I keep using this word, but when your organization's been in turmoil for as long as it's been, you have to start at the tippy top. Look at the Chicago White Sox, right? You can plug and play whomever you want, but at the end of the day, as long as Jerry Reinsdorf is at the helm, there's probably going to be issues. That's who you want to blame.
And I did mention this. Sorry to cut you off, Brad, but I did mention this maybe a couple podcasts ago, who the problem is here. And I did say that it starts at the top, follow the chain of command.
100%.
So I did say this before Brian Urlacher said this.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it starts with the McKaskies. Who else can you blame, right? How can you blame Ryan Poles? This is his first year. How can you... Look, you can blame Eberflus, but it's his second year. You can't blame Eberflus, right, for how unsuccessful this organization's been for the last 70 years. Who do you blame for that?
No, I agree.
The McKaskies. You can blame Eberflus for now and because of our current frustrations.
I just don't think Eberflus brings anything.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that he could be part of the issue right now. Right. But ultimately, by getting rid of Eberflus, you're putting a Band-Aid on a huge wound either way. You have to start at the top of the chain of command. And then from there, you rebuild the organization. That's got to be how it is for the Sox. That's absolutely how it's got to be for the Bears.
Well, I think with them signing Kevin Warren, sorry.
No, you're good. If Matt Eberflus doesn't work out this year or whatever, and we end up moving on for him, how cool would it be if we ended up signing Brian Urlacher as our head coach?
Andrew, how long has Tom Ricketts been the owner of the Chicago Cubs?
Since 2009.
Listen to this. 2009, right? So what you're telling me is that 7 years after getting new ownership, a new owner deciding, hey, let's bring in a good, sophisticated GM from a fucking World Series winning team.
Yep.
Maybe we can make something happen, and it happened, right? So that's what I'm saying. The Cubs started from the top. They brought in the right guy who knew who to bring in under him. They had a World Series 7 years later. Who's to say that won't happen with the Bears? Who's to say that won't happen with the Sox? But as long as you have the McKaskies, as long as you have the Reinsdorfs of the world, there might continue to be issues, and I know Joe probably will be touching base on this later, but the Bulls are in the same boat. Obviously, Jerry Reinsdorf owns them too, so that's 60% of all of the Chicago teams that we talk about right then and there have a horrible owner, and that's why this town, as a sports town, struggles so much.
It is very important for it's obviously McKaskey and Jerry need to sell their teams and get new, fresh ideas in the clubhouse and locker room and stuff like that.
I'm going to say one thing, because the Bears did make a big change. So the Bears did make a big change with the CEO. They got rid of Ted Phillips, and they brought in Kevin Warren. We all know what Kevin Warren did with the Vikings. He built that new stadium for them. He is a football guy. Ted Phillips was a glorified accountant. And we got Kevin Warren. I believe this is his first year as the CEO. We got rid of Ted Phillips last year. So I do want to say at least they did that. They got rid of Ted Phillips, which wasn't a football guy. He was an accountant, a glorified accountant. And they brought in Kevin Warren, which is an actual football dude. So, I mean, maybe there is, maybe it will take a little bit of time, but at least they got a CEO that is a football guy. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Very, very good point. So going back to the Cubs with Tom Ricketts, it was a breath of fresh air after Ricketts bought the team because he already had a plan outlined. He wants to bring in a new president of operations, the head of scouting department, Jason McLeod, as well as the new GM and Chad Hoyer and stuff like that and everything. So it was just really nice, and he came into the team. He blew up the entire front office. Scouts were fired, managers were fired. Every minor league coaches were fired. Everything top to bottom in the Cubs organization changed when Ricketts came in, and that's what the Bears and the White Sox need for sure, and the Bulls, because they share owners. But
I would say maybe it will change now.
Yeah,
this is first year with Kevin Warren versus Ted.
Well, hopefully, right. You want to believe that.
And if it doesn't, then
at the end of the day, the McKaskey family is still in the
in the picture.
In the picture, so I'm kind of doubtful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, so moving on. Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, how much Bears content do we have left?
Bears. I just want to go over Justin Fields, DJ Moore, some of their stats.
Absolutely, just getting an update.
And then we're going to go over the running back situation, which is really not good right now. Then we'll go over the Bears.
You know what?
Vikings.
For sure.
Real quick, you guys never freaking said anything about me saying Brian Urlacher should be the head coach, even if that's a joke of a saying.
I don't
think it would have to be bald Urlacher, not hair Urlacher.
I don't think
you're not allowed in the field.
I'll say this, Andrew. I don't think it could be anything worse than Matt Eberflus. I really do not. I think you could go out there and it would be nothing would change. So
nothing would change.
I really don't think so.
You wouldn't think that the players would kind of play harder for Urlacher, Like a Bears Hall of Famer, a legend, an icon.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Urlacher's in the picture.
I'm saying that it wouldn't get worse.
It would get worse?
It wouldn't.
Wouldn't. Oh, wow. I don't know what I'm...
Yeah, he's saying it would not get worse.
Okay, it would not get worse.
It wouldn't.
And Andrew, that's a good,
I just think it'd be kind of fun.
It's a fun pipe dream. I mean, hey, I remember as a kid, dreaming that Paul Konerko, my, childhood favorite White Sox player of all time, would be the head coach of the Sox. It's always a good pipe dream. The bottom line is, a lot of these guys don't want to be. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot that goes into it. We all know Brian Urlacher probably doesn't want to, but hey, if he did, I think he should be strongly considered. There's no doubt about it.
Like Lance Briggs, he has a lot to say after every single Bears game. And all the he talks a lot of stuff about the Bears, how bad we are, and yeah, we are bad, but why don't you come and do something for us?
They have to give him an offer. They haven't, and he doesn't want to start as a linebacker coach.
Why not?
And you know what? To the Bears, listen. Brian Urlacher is a Chicago Bears legend, but Brian Urlacher doesn't have any coaching experience. Don't for a team like the Bears who's trying to develop a young team, getting all these young draft picks in the upcoming years, do you really I feel like you want a established coach at this point. You don't want to bring in a guy.
You would have to start Urlacher off at defensive coordinator and then see how he does as defensive coordinator. Then
promote him.
Can I just say one thing, Andrew?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's what I should have said.
Can I just say one thing? How do you feel about David Ross this year?
I did not
he's going to go Super Saiyan again.
And not a good year.
Okay, you don't like David Ross. What happened with David Ross? And favorite player was hired on as an experiment.
That's a very good point.
It's not worth hiring Urlacher unless he has the experience, man.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. Good job.
We love him, but
we love David. We love Grandpa Ross as a player, not as a manager.
That's the thing. I think David Ross was promoted too quick. Just because he was a player, he should have started off, got a little bit of coaching experience. Maybe as a third base coach or first base coach.
Well, what the Cubs did with David Ross was after he retired in 2016, they signed him to some front office job or whatever, and they were pretty much just grooming him for 4 years. Because
so they did.
He came in the league in 2020. He was the manager.
Okay, so he did get some experience.
Yeah, so they were grooming him a little bit, and then he came in, but obviously it didn't work out.
Well, right. Some people can. You either can be a coach or a player, or do both. Some people could only do one or the other, or both sometimes. All right, moving on to Justin Fields. Justin Fields, man, has he been playing out of his mind? These last 2 games. I mean, minus, maybe the game against the Broncos towards the end. But right now he's tied for second for passing touchdowns along with Tua, Cousins, and Wilson. He's averaging 12.2 yards per carry, 4th in the NFL. His QBR is 95.4, 4th in the NFL. Averaging 228.6 passing yards per game, which is 15th in the NFL. 109 rushing yards right now, which is 3rd in the NFL, and he's 6th for total passing yards at 1,143. Man, on paper, Justin Fields looks like a top 5, a tier 1, tier 2, top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now.
That must have came from the last 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I was going to say, and listening to
his
stat rankings, that's pretty ridiculous.
It's all 5 games combined. But yes, this all came from the last 2 games, but it's all 5 games combined.
Yeah, hopefully he keeps it up.
So that's what Justin Fields is. Listen to DJ Moore. Right now, DJ Moore, the last game he had, these are all the games together, 27 receptions for 531 yards. He's averaging 19.7 yards. 5 touchdowns, ranked 5th in receiving yards, 1st in touchdowns. DJ Moore is ranked 1st in touchdowns for a wide receiver. 87.1 grade. This week he was named Offensive Player of the Week, which is the only second player in Bears history to ever do so, with the first being Marcus Robinson, who had 170 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Lions in 1990.
That's interesting.
This all started in the last 2 games. I do want to say that, because you guys are probably wondering, okay, what were the defenses like for them to have a breakout like this? The Commanders' defense, I think, is a force to pretty much, it's not the best defense in the NFL, but man, they have a really good defensive line. So overall, their defense is ranked 21st, but their defensive line is ranked 3rd. So they put pressure on quarterbacks.
Chase Young, damn. I feel like I have an issue with Chase and Chris. I do.
Yeah, you're thinking of
with
freaking
Claypool.
Claypool a lot.
Yeah, wow.
So
Chase Young.
The Broncos defense, when everyone was getting all hyped about the Broncos, I really wasn't. I was like, dude, the Broncos, right now they're ranked 32nd in defense, and their defensive line is ranked 28th. So when Justin Fields had that breakout game against the Broncos, I was like, dude, guys, you got to relax, pump the brakes here. The Broncos are, right now, according to all the power rankings that I've watched, they are the worst team right now. The Panthers are the worst. They are the 2nd worst team in the NFL. So the Bears made it up to 28th now, or 27th, 28th, around there. So it's growth, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But at least we're not the worst team anymore. So I'm happy to say that. Do you guys have any comments on any of that, or I'll just move on to the running back situation?
I just have a small comment.
Absolutely.
I'll start, Andrew. I like what you said, Joe. I think when I look at if I'm gonna touch on Justin Fields specifically, in the last 2 weeks his QBR has been phenomenal. It's been over 125 for the last 2 weeks. It's really unfortunate that with 2 great performances we couldn't get 2 dubs to show for it. But at least we squandered one. We only squandered one of them. So yeah, I mean it's looking good. Hopefully we can build on this momentum.
It's kind of mind-boggling to me how DJ Moore is the league leader right now, or currently. When Montgomery with the Detroit Lions had 5 touchdowns at week 3, and the Bears had, as a team, had 5 touchdowns at week 3. And now to turn the page over and see that, one of our wide receivers is leading the league in touchdown, it's like pretty ridiculous. That's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was the positive thing. Negative thing is that it looks like Khalil Herbert is going to be out for 2 weeks for an ankle injury. Roshan Johnson, which he'll probably eventually be our RB1, I think, or the two-headed monster with Herbert. He's still on concussion protocol as of right now. It's not looking good like he's going to play. I think he is ruled out to play as of right now. On the positive side, though, out of our two leading running backs, Deontay Foreman was activated from our roster. I don't know why they didn't have him active for this last game, which I thought was weird, because he's right now he's rostered as our RB3, but they didn't have him. They had him inactive for, I don't know why. That made no sense to me why that was he was inactive. But I think Deontay Foreman is a very good running back, solid backup. After the Panthers traded CMC in the last 11 games, he ran for over 900 yards. So that's pretty solid, man.
Well, it's time for Deontay Foreman to step up.
Travis Homer, other running back too, is inactive. So right now it's literally Deontay Foreman. But they did pick up Darrington Evans, who was signed off Miami's practice squad. He was on the 2022 practice squad. Really not. I mean, he's a decent backup, Darrington Evans, but at least we have some depth now in our running back position. It sucks that our 2 starters are out, but I mean, I think Deontay Foreman is a solid backup. He'll get the job done.
Yeah, that really hurts.
Yeah.
That really does hurt, especially that we had so much momentum going into the game against the Vikings, and now our top 2 running backs are out.
Yeah.
Hopefully Deontay Foreman and not even sure the other guy who you said.
Darrington
Evans. Darrington Evans. Hopefully they step up and
Absolutely.
They do what they're supposed to do.
Which I think it was. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they just unfortunately placed Achane. I don't know if I'm saying that guy's name right.
On the Dolphins?
Yes, they just placed him on IR.
Achane or whatever.
Yeah, Achane.
Yeah, that guy was on your fantasy, right?
He is.
Yeah,
yes.
that guy was on his fantasy.
I know,
yeah.
so it really sucks.
Yeah.
But yes, they just placed him on IR.
Did they? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
and they just got
Good
rid of
they
their
have Mostert still.
and they just got rid of their Darrington Evans. So I don't know. It's not looking good for the Dolphins right now. I mean, they still got Mustard, which he's been playing good, and of course I got rid of him. But I thought he was going to decline.
That kid Achane, whatever you want to call it, he's fast.
I know,
dude, he makes Tyreek look slow.
Dude, I picked that guy up
it's
towards
crazy.
the last round too.
Tyreek being slow, come on.
Dude, I swear to God, he's right there with Tyreek, man.
I know, dude.
I wouldn't say he makes Tyreek look slow, but he makes Tyreek look human.
Hey, sometimes I get good picks in fantasies, then unfortunately sometimes I make mistakes, but that's all about fantasy.
Sometimes in fantasy, it's that late round pick that gets you the win, man.
All right, so
you're supposed to drink after you choose.
It's empty.
So Bears versus
Oh yeah.
Bears versus Vikings.
Oh, wow.
So I do want to say that I did not send you guys
Sorry about that. Yeah.
my score prediction because I didn't want you kind of going based off what I was going to say. So obviously I left that part out. But anyways, Justin Jefferson was placed on IR, which is the Vikings' best player, absolutely. I mean, Jordan Addison, he is on my fantasy team as well. If Jordan Addison for some reason is still available on waivers, absolutely pick that guy up. I don't think he will be, but pick him up. He is very good. He's a rookie this year. He's looking to be he's going to be a wide receiver one somewhere, if not with the Vikings. But that's who he plays for now. But Justin Jefferson's also very young. I would have to say the Vikings probably have the best receiving core in maybe the Rams. But the Vikings definitely are up there for the best receiving core right now in the NFL. So my score prediction, because their best player is out of the game, I think the Bears win this game 27-17.
You're close, very close. I have Minnesota winning 28, Chicago 21.
Joe, I'm sorry. You had the Bears winning?
Yeah, I did. Just
What
because
was the
Justin
score?
Jefferson out, 27-17.
Okay. So, it's funny, guys, because you guys, every week in and week out, you guys have these bogus predictions where your scores are like right in the strike zone, right in the 20 to 27s. And you know what? I'm going to keep it tight this week because I'm not trying to lose 4 weeks in a row of drinking Malört. So you know what? I'm just going to keep it simple. I also have the Bears winning. I think with Justin Jefferson going down, I think that's going to hurt them.
Hold on. Sorry.
I think with Justin Jefferson going down, I think that's going to hurt them. I think if the Bears can find a way to shut down the run game and keep Alexander Madison at bay, it's going to fluster Kirk Cousins, and I think the Bears are going to win conservative 24-21. Bears 24-21.
So since I'm the only one thinking that Minnesota's going to win, if Minnesota wins, you guys got to take the shot.
I agree.
That makes sense.
I agree. It's more important that you guess the winner than the score.
Yes.
So I agree with you.
Okay.
But if the Bears win, you automatically drink no matter what.
So moving forward, I think might have to make some rule adjustment for the Malört.
I think we understand how it works.
Yeah.
Right now,
live update on the Blackhawks. It's 1-1, period 1, less than 5 minutes. So
very good.
Yeah.
Who scored?
The Boston Bruins.
Who scored for the Hawks? Do you know?
Yeah. Andres Anesthesia. Or no, sorry, that's wrong.
Okay.
It was Connor Bedard.
Really?
Yeah, Connor Bedard scored.
Wow.
Dude, I have a bet today that Chicago wins the game and Connor Bedard to score his first goal. I put $10 down to win $70.
You won $70.
So no, if the Hawks win today's game, I'll win $70.
And Connor Bedard scores.
And I had Connor Bedard. I needed Connor Bedard to score a goal.
Did.
So that's music to my ears right now.
Yeah.
Not first goal, but a goal.
A goal.
Oh, okay.
A goal.
All right, cool.
Could happen.
So hopefully the Hawks.
Could happen on the road.
Hopefully the Hawks hang on because I lost, some good amount of money on the Phillies and Braves game.
They're in the TD Garden, man. So you never know. Anything could happen over there.
Yeah,
but just to say real quick, and I don't want to, we are going to talk about the Blackhawks, and we'll get into that intensely. But I just want to reiterate again for a scoring system for these predictions. Predicting the winning team takes precedence over the score. If everyone guesses the same team, it goes to score. You guys get it, right? You guys get it?
And that's fair.
Okay.
Yes, I guess.
Okay.
That's fair.
So you're saying if one person picks the opposing team, they have to take the shot. If they lose, another two have to take a shot. If the other team wins.
Well, let's say because we both predict the Bears are going to win.
Yes.
Let's say the Bears lose.
Yes.
We don't both take the shot. Then it just comes down to us.
Yes.
Who's further away?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I get what
Andrew
you're
is
saying.
safe because he predicted the right team winning.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And that is very fair. I really.
That is very fair.
I like that.
So what if we're both right? Like our team's both.
Then Andrew automatically
has to take the shot
because he picked the wrong team.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
So, I mean, since we're on the topic of Malört, should we just do the Malört shot right now?
Absolutely. So,
or do we just
no, that's exactly what I was going to segue into. So,
I don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, whoever's been tuning in every week, which of course we appreciate it, I've lost every single week on the score predictions for the Bears.
No, we didn't do it the first week.
This is week 4. This is the 4th week in a row I've lost. So.
And he also lost his side bet that the Cubs were going to make the playoffs when I said they weren't. So. So, cheers, buddy.
I don't have a chaser. We're going all the way in today. Cheers, boys.
All right.
Do you want me to grab you a beer?
Nope.
I need one.
He's doing that with no chaser.
Hey, do you want to? You want to do the fucking pub spiel and then I'll get us beer?
Do you still have some?
Well, I got the bowls.
You're done with the Bears.
I'm done with the Bears.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Then I'll jump into.
All right. Brady, you done with?
I'm good on a beer.
Okay.
Oh, you want to grab me one?
Yeah.
It could be the whatever the hell's in there.
Okay.
Yeah. doesn't matter. So very exciting news coming from Chicago. It's been speculations that the Cubs this offseason are going to heavily pursue guys like Pete Alonso, guys like Juan Soto. Obviously, there's a lot of risk involved in that, but nonetheless, that is very exciting. But to start off, are the Cubs interested in Pete Alonso? According to ESPN, Jesse Rogers, the Chicago Cubs are not only interested in Alonso's services, but the first baseman actually said himself he would love to play for the North Side. He loves Wrigley, he loves the atmosphere. So 110% Pete Alonso is on the Cubs' radar if a good deal could be made. Obviously, the Cubs don't want to overpay for a guy like Pete Alonso that's only 1 year. We could just wait until free agency because he is a part of Scott Boras' agency, which means all of his players go to free agency. So the Cubs don't really have to worry about an extension coming from Steve Cohen and the Mets. What are you guys' opinions on Pete Alonso in a Cubs uniform? Isn't that absolutely kind of breathtaking for a baseball fan and guru, dude?
Yeah, I think anything to help the Cubs out, why wouldn't you do it, man?
Like the Cubs, this year had to rely on Cody Bellinger to take majority of the first baseman in the second half because we didn't have a first baseman. Matt Mervis played terribly. Candelario got injured. The Cubs, were really hurting from that position. So if we have a bona fide first baseman like Pete Alonso, who slugged 46 homers last season, or currently this season,
right,
that'd be freaking ridiculous.
I think we're putting the puzzle pieces together here. I mean, we're filling the big missing pieces to the puzzle, and I think this is one of those big pieces for sure. Absolutely.
I think the Cubs need to evaluate their strengths and weaknesses, not only right now but for the future. They need to evaluate their farm system and kind of determine what players they think they want to get rid of for a guy like Pete. Because the reality is, there's a couple situations here. What the Cubs could inevitably do is they could trade for Pete Alonso. They can get Pete Alonso on the Chicago Cubs, and even with 1 year left of his remaining contract, mid-season they can do everything they can to re-sign him. Yeah. That's an easier way to do it than letting him go to complete free agency and letting all these different teams bid on him. Now, if the Cubs can get rid of the right guys and get Pete Alonso, that's a good way to do it. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's not that important that the Cubs get Pete Alonso for a 1 year short-term deal because they have guys like, Mash Mervis and, if they re-sign Cody Bellinger, he's a first base option. Yeah. They can play guys like Tauchman in the outfield. They have options. They still have PCA, assuming they don't trade him for Pete Alonso, right back to the Mets.
Wouldn't that be funny? Going back
that
to the
would
Mets?
be.
Yeah.
But I'll just say that if I'm the Chicago Cubs, it depends on how they feel about how badly they want him. I think if they really, really want Pete, if they think Pete's going to be their guy, they go for him and they try to extend him during the season. If they feel like, we have the capital, we are the Chicago Cubs, we're a high budget, high market team, we can dish out the money come 2025, just do it that way and don't get rid of the prospects. Yeah. That way when Pete comes in 2025, if you give him the right amount of money, at least you have more developed players that A, you either have a better gauge on if you want them to be a part of your future, and B, if they do gain that value within the next year, and if they do make those strides, when you do sign a guy like Pete, you can consider trading a guy like Mervis if he shows, good strides. So there's a lot to think about if you're the front office of the Chicago Cubs. But those are my thoughts.
No, very, very good points. I think the Cubs do pull the plug on the trade if there is a trade in place. Excuse me, I'm just going to reword that. I messed that up there. But if there's a predetermined contract extension already in the books, I think the Cubs would 100% go for it. I don't think the Cubs are going to part ways with prime time pitching prospects because that's what the Mets need. We're not gonna get rid of Kate Horn. We're not gonna get a Ben Brown. We're not gonna get rid of Assad or freaking Adzalai. if they agreed to an extension before the trade, I think 100% that would be done. But I think there's too big of a risk on top of that. And Pete Alonso is 29 years old, and if the Cubs don't get him, he'll be 30 in 2025, turning 31. So that is a game changer for sure.
I think the Cubs have a lot of money. I think the Cubs don't have that many huge contracts right now. I mean, they have Dansby Swanson.
Well, Jason Hayward just officially came off the books this year, so no more $28 million a year.
That's exactly right. Jason Hayward's gone. We're no longer paying him. You know, Dansby Swanson was we're paying him a good amount of money, but who's to say the Cubs don't use starting pitching as leverage for a guy that maybe they don't see as a potential future piece, or somebody that they've seen enough of where they're like, we can part ways with him to secure a guy like Alonso. And then not only will they sign Alonso, but I think the Cubs, being a big market team, can probably go out there and sign a starting pitcher as well.
You know, I think you're onto something here, but this is where I kind of disagree with you, because the Cubs last year had one of the best offenses in baseball. There's no surprise by that. The Cubs had some good players on the team. They scored a lot of runs. But even though their pitching was pretty solid, you know, I will admit their pitching was pretty solid. I think there's still a lot of question marks in their rotation. Justin Steele obviously had a wonderful year, you know, a Cy Young caliber year for the Cubs. Towards the end of the season, you could tell there's some wear and tear on that arm because he wasn't used to throwing that amount of innings. But next year he should be better. But after Justin Steele, we saw Marcus Stroman start off the year wonderful. And look what happened to him. He totally collapsed. Jordan Wicks is a rookie, so you don't really know how he's going to pan out. Kyle Hendricks is, you know, getting up there in age, so not exactly sure. So if the Cubs have an ample amount of, you know, young pitching in their farm system, I kind of wouldn't want to get rid of that.
Who adds more value to your team? Pete Alonso or a 24-year-old prospect pitcher?
Okay, so I have two things on that. Number one, we gave away Dylan Cease. We added in Dylan Cease to the Eloy, or to the Jose Quintana. Look at what happened with Dylan Cease. So, you know, I would hate for the Cubs to get rid of a top-of-the-line rotation.
Then it sounds like you don't want Pete Alonso.
No, but I'm not. But the whole point I'm trying to make is I'm not willing to give up, you know, a lot of our top 5 prospects.
Then we're not going to get Pete Alonso.
For freaking Pete Alonso for 1 year when the Cubs can just wait.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the Chicago Cubs...
The Cubs could just be patient for 1 season.
I agree. Yeah. So what we're in agreement on, or what I'm understanding, is that Pete Alonso will be a Chicago Cub in 2025, not 2024.
So I want to...
Because if the Mets want starting pitching, but you're not able... But you don't want to give any, then we're not going to get them.
You're bringing up a good point here. We're going into a different direction, but kind of like the same. Just bear with me. The Brewers actually reported that they were very interested in trading for Pete Alonso as well. So obviously, with that being said, you don't want a guy like Pete Alonso, going to your division rival like the Brewers. So the Cubs would at that point be more inclined to giving up guys like Cade Horton and Ben Brown and Jackson Ferris, et cetera, for the Brewers not to get Alonso. Could the Brewers be blowing smoke just to raise the price? You see that all the time in sports. You see players do that. Look at the whole debacle with the San Francisco Giants and Aaron Judge. When Aaron Judge made everyone believe that he was signing with, the San Francisco Giants, taking private jets to San Francisco, eating dinner with the owners, and he was just using that as leverage just to have the Yankees dish out more money to him. So,
hats off to him.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not just him that does it. It's a lot of players that do that. But I think the Brewers could very well force the Cubs' hand, and that kind of scares me. And it's a good move by the Brewers. I tip my cap to them, because obviously they wouldn't want a guy like Alonso in the division as well. So I think that answers your question, kind of.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the Brewers play a big part in this whole equation.
Yeah, no, they do.
100%.
It's all going to depend on how heavy the Brewers go down in this.
I agree.
And I'm scared. I'm excited, but I'm also scared. And I think everyone should feel the same way.
I will say it's a good sign that Alonso has gone on record saying he wants to play with Chicago. If the Chicago Cubs aren't willing to dish out prospects, who knows? If Pete Alonso cares that much about Chicago, maybe he understands. Maybe he says, look, I'll sign with the Cubs in 2025. You know, they can keep their prospects. In the long run, when I do sign with the Cubs in 2025, they're overall a better team because they didn't get rid of all their fucking prospects for me, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what? You would hope, you don't know. It's hard to get in the minds of these players and these agents, but it's possible. I mean, it's always a good sign that Alonso wants to play for the Cubs, and he said that. We'll leave it at that. We'll let the Ricketts family and all those other guys in the front office do the dirty work for us.
Yep. So to sum it up, there's going to be a bidding war for Pete Alonso. It's going to be very exciting. But so the Mets are rumors are speculating that the New York Mets are in serious need of young, controllable starters, which is not really a rumor. Everyone knows they need pitching on that team. They lost Scherzer, they lost Verlander, you know. They have Senga, they have Quintana. I don't know if Quintana's still on the team, but their pitching isn't that deep.
He is.
Okay, it was like a 3-year contract or something like that, 2-year.
I'm not sure.
Well, regardless, they don't have that many good pitchers on that team. The Cubs, on the other hand, they have a plethora of young, controllable starters. Like Elzalai, who's making $2.5 million next season. Assad, who's on the first-year rookie contract, making less than $1 million. You know, Jackson Ferris, who's our second round, who's blowing up in the minor leagues. Cade Horton, Ben Brown. So, you know, the Cubs have what the Mets need. They have exactly what the Mets need. It's just whether or not we're going to give up these guys. But yeah, that sums up the Pete Alonso. And I did say this earlier, the Cubs are also interested in signing or trading for a guy like Juan Soto. That would be a whole nother topic on what the Padres need and stuff like that. But I just want to talk about some backup first base options here. If Alonso doesn't work out for the Cubs, and we ultimately have to rely on like in-house guys to, you know, play at first base, I wouldn't mind giving Matt Mervis another shot at first base, even though like when he came up it was terrible, because he came up, he had some experience, you know, he didn't do well, then they dropped him back to the minors, and he ended up doing good in the minors, but he just never got that call back up because the Cubs were in a pennant race. So I am looking forward to seeing what they do with Matt Mervis. I wouldn't be opposed to giving him another shot, maybe like slowly kind of integrate him back into the lineup, maybe not opening day type, but and the other option is if we re-sign Cody Bellinger. Now, Cody Bellinger played wonderful for us. It looked like he returned back to MVP form. But the contract that it's going to take for Cody Bellinger to re-sign in Chicago is going to be a pretty massive contract. And there's some doubt in that, and there's some worry in a contract like that. We saw what Cody Bellinger did the last 3 seasons. It wasn't pretty. He was dealing with injuries. You know, he was striking out at like a freaking 30+% rate. Homers were down. Everything was down. It's going to be a gamble to re-sign a guy like Cody Bellinger. Was that just like a 1-year kind of like whole thing, and then he's going to go back? Who knows? But if the Cubs re-sign Cody Bellinger, he could of course fill in at first base, and Tauchman and PCA and Kevin Alcantara, Canario could compete for the center field job. So I think those are two options, or we just re-sign Candelario and we fill him in. But yeah, that pretty much sums up my Chicago Cubs topic for the day. Just want to cover some things about what's going on in playoff baseball. How cool would a Texas Rangers and Houston Astros ALCS be?
That would be very cool.
That'd be very cool.
It's looking like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And doesn't that just make you, you know, like really, like, I wish the Cubs and the White Sox were in the same league. You know, that'd just be better for baseball and better for Chicago, you know, to have a matchup like that. Like, obviously the Cubs and the White Sox would be in a World Series together one year, but how likely is that?
I agree. And I thought about this, Andrew. I think
Yeah.
I think the only argument I have against maybe the Cubs and the Sox being in the same league is that when you consider that there's only 15 teams each league, when you put 2 Chicago teams in one league, that gives Chicago a pretty good advantage at making the CS compared to the other cities in this country. I mean, if you really think about it, when you spread them out between leagues, it just feels like there's less of a chance.
Well, what about?
And I think that's more fair.
What about LA teams or New York teams? I mean,
All the Angels and the Dodgers are the same. I mean, and you can say the same about the Mets and the Yankees. They're all in different leagues. I think that it would be fun and exciting to have these teams in the same league, but I mean, at the end of the day, you have 2 teams. Let's say you have 2 LA teams, 2 New York teams, 2 Chicago teams, all in the American League, for example. You're really making the odds in their favor at that point. So I just think they really want to spread it out and have it even. But I get what you're saying, Bud. I think it would be exciting to have the Cubs and the Sox. Can you imagine like a Cubs Sox like CS?
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Dude, this city would burn down.
It's an unpopular opinion, but I really think that there should only be one professional sports team of each sport in each city. I don't think there should be multiple. Like I said, unpopular opinion, but that's just how I feel about it. But it's too late now. I mean, you'll never get rid of the Sox and the Cubs. I mean, the Dodgers. I mean, that'll never happen.
You know, I definitely I see your point, Joe, but I think where I disagree is kind of like Chicago is a big city, you know.
It is.
So it does make sense that, or if a city could have 2 teams, it's going to be like cities like Chicago and LA and New York, which is like that already. But for the smaller teams or the smaller markets, 100% I agree.
Yeah.
So
like Wisconsin, they don't even have their own hockey team. How does Wisconsin not have a professional hockey team? That is crazy. Hey, and I'm saying it here, and I think the coolest name for a professional hockey team in Wisconsin would be the Ice Augers. You know, they all do ice fishing up there.
That would be very fitting for Wisconsin.
I know, and how you drill the holes for ice fishing.
That'd be fitting for Wisconsin.
Use an ice auger.
I don't know if the best name in the NHL, but
not the best name in the NHL, but the best name fitting for Wisconsin.
What about
the Ice Augers?
What about the Elegant White rowers?
Well, they're not.
You like that one?
I do like Elegant White, but that's not where it's made.
Well, like Miller Lite, Brutes or something like that, dude. Because isn't Miller Lite brewed in frickin' Wisconsin, bro? Miller Lite Brutes, bro, or Miller Lite Brews.
What about the Milwaukee cheese curds?
They already got the Brewers.
Oh yeah, you're right. Fuck.
The cheese curds, yeah.
The cheese curds.
All right, we're getting off topic here.
I love cheese curds. You ever been to Culver's?
Cheese curds.
Hell no, that'd be the worst fucking. That'd be the worst name in history.
They already make fun of them because they call them the cheese heads.
Yeah, the cheese heads. I mean, actually, they might as well keep the frickin' the joke going, dude.
Ice augers.
Cheese heads, cheese curds. Fuck it, why not? But
wait, hold on a minute, Joe. What the fuck is an auger, dude?
So an auger is a drill that you use to like.
Use your context clues. You said they go ice.
There's augers in hoppers. There's augers in like for drills.
Okay.
Basically, what it does, it's like a spiral piece of metal.
You know what it is.
That has.
Okay. Now I know. Yeah,
so,
I just didn't. I don't like fish.
So it has a spiral piece of metal on it.
Right.
And it has a blade at the end, and it cuts through the ice. And the reason why it spirals it takes the ice from the bottom and pulls it up and pushes it to the side.
That is a pretty badass name. Now that I know the context, yes. All right, guys.
Is that
it's related to ice.
Wait. Is that an OG thought?
No. Oh, OG thought.
An OG thought of yours.
Is that an original?
Yes, dude. I've said that from like forever. I never stole that, not that I know of. I've always said that the Wisconsin. If I was rich, a billionaire, I would invest in NHL Wisconsin team because it would be great. Like in Milwaukee, Green Bay, I don't know where you.
I feel like you got to have it in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee, probably the best spot. I mean, you got the Bucks and Brewers there.
Or maybe like a Madison area.
You would have what you would have to do is do
competing with college.
You would have to do something like how what the Blackhawks and Bulls do, share a stadium, and they would have to play out of where the Milwaukee Bucks play.
Well, hold on, we sound hypocritical. We're talking about we shouldn't have 2 teams in one state.
The same team, of the same sport team.
Yeah,
I said not.
So you want to create a whole new sport? You're saying?
No.
We just want to add a hockey team.
I know. I'm just having fun. We're just.
Okay. All right. Well, end of freaking debate over this. Right. That was fun. Nonetheless, Baltimore swept out of the playoffs by the Texas Rangers. Did you guys see that coming, or what?
You know what?
Is that a surprise that Baltimore was swept out of the playoffs?
I think it was. I think if you look at Texas and how their seasons played out, I think they started out as a better team than they ended.
Yeah.
And Baltimore's consistently been a very good team. I think the only argument you can make is that Baltimore is the younger team. And, you know, the experience beat out the young guns. And that's all there is to it. I mean, at the end of the day, with playoff baseball, this goes for any playoff sport. The team that's the hottest, the hot hand will see the next round. I think Baltimore's probably a better team long term than Texas is.
Oh, definitely.
For sure, but the hot hand Texas team beat them. I mean, look how Corey Seager's playing. It's unbelievable.
Corey Seager's just on a different planet. But, you know, quite frankly, people can be like, oh, bullshit. But I did see this happening to Baltimore just because of how young their team is. Just because how young their team is. I think their average age on that damn team is like 26, 27 years old, which is insane.
Yeah.
You know? And going against the Texas Rangers, on the other hand, who have guys like Max Scherzer, who have Nathan Eovaldi, who's been there and done that, who have Corey Seager that's been there with the Dodgers every freaking year, Marcus Semien, you know, Garcia, they have a, you know, crazy offense. So I wasn't surprised. You know, maybe I thought Baltimore could win a game here or there, but I don't think it was Baltimore's year. I ended up being correct. I think next year you really got to watch out for Baltimore. You know, because they're going to add to that payroll. Of course, they're going to add some more guys. That sucks for Baltimore. So the Phillies won today. The series is 2-1 Phillies. Which did you guys see that happening after yesterday's game, where Zach Wheeler had an amazing outing, stellar outing that turned very sour very quickly. Travis d'Arnaud hit a clutch 2-run homer in the 7th inning. Austin Riley hit another clutch 2-run homer in the 8th inning to give them the lead. Michael Harris with the ridiculous play in center field, catching the ball, then doubling up Bryce Harper at first base. I mean, what an insane way to end the game. If you guys haven't seen the highlights of that game, I recommend you see Game 2 highlights over Atlanta and Phillies. But did you guys see the Phillies beating the Braves in this series? Because after the second game, I thought it was going to be Braves from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, I really do.
Yeah.
I don't even think the Braves should have been in the playoffs, to be honest with you. I think it should have been the Cubs, but I think the Cubs just got too comfortable.
You know, Joe, I agree, buddy. The Cubs should have been in the playoffs.
And
100%.
And I'm sick of seeing Philadelphia teams always win. I mean, they're probably the second most annoying fans next to Wisconsin fans. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I really don't think that they should have even been in the playoffs. Really, I really don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, dude, Joe, you make some good points there. Hey, man, I would say that the Braves. No, at the end of the day, the Phillies are the home team. They were the home team for Game 3. As of right now, Andrew just mentioned, it's pretty much a live update. The Phillies just went up 2-1. Come on, I mean, look at this Phillies fan base. I mean, I know me and Andrew had a side conversation throughout the week.
Dude.
They are electric. They remind us of, the Seattle Seahawks, the 12th man stadium.
They were
right?
rocking, dude.
They are rocking. And I think when you are home, when you have the fans behind you like that, when you're a hot Phillies team, I mean, I heard it earlier just in passing. Yeah. Like, even Trey Turner, a guy that's been struggling all year, right? You still have your Harpers, you still have your Romutos, you still have your Schwarbers. Even a guy like Trey Turner, he's got, like, in this series alone, I think he's already has, like, 7 to 8 hits in this series or something like that. It might be the entire playoffs as a whole. But regardless, the Phillies are a good team. They have some players that are just clicking. They have a good fan base behind them. I'm not betting against the Phillies. I don't care who they're playing.
It's insane to me how truly evenly matched the Phillies and the Braves are. like both of their offenses are like so ridiculous. You know, they have some freaking studs at the top of the rotation.
This series is going 5, man.
Just talk about dynamic players, guys like Harper and Ronald Acuna. It's just, I do agree. I think it goes 5. I'm sticking with the Braves. If you have Matt Olson and Acuna on your team, dude, like I'm going with you. Simple as that. Like even though I think the Phillies are going to win, I wouldn't be. The Braves are the Braves, dude. You can't count them out ever. That'd be a stupid thing to do. So that's my prediction.
See.
Yeah. So can the Twins come back against the Astros? I think we're all going to agree on that. Probably not. I mean, the Astros are the Astros. They've been in it. They have a lot of experience. The Twins are a somewhat decent team that got in through a terrible division. So,
do you think it's going to be another repeat of last year?
The Phillies and Astros? Yeah. I could totally see it. So that brings up my next point, what Joe just said.
I didn't even know.
Dodgers against Arizona. Are the LA Dodgers coming back? I think we, again, can all agree the Dodgers are not coming back against a team like Arizona. The Dodgers just simply don't have the pitching. I've said that all along. Even though the Dodgers won over 100 games this year, they don't have the pitching. Kershaw has proven that he's not that good of a postseason pitcher. I'm not taking anything away from Clayton Kershaw. He's one of the premier pitchers of our generation in history of baseball, 100%. He's going to go down as one of the greats, but history doesn't lie. It always repeats itself. Clayton Kershaw is not a postseason pitcher. And Julio Urias going down. They have Bobby Miller starting game 2. Bobby Miller's a freaking rookie. You're going to expect a rookie to start game 2, against a decent team like Arizona. I'm not sure. So I think the Dodgers are done. Yeah, for sure.
I agree with you, Andrew. No, you make some good points. I think I have to side with you on this one. I think Arizona is the favorite here as of right now. I just think Arizona's. It goes back to my argument with the. No, it's just I don't remember what team I mentioned, but I think Arizona's playing good ball. I think they have the momentum. I think they're the hot hand in the playoffs right now, and I think sometimes. I think the Dodgers are a better team than Arizona, all things considered. Even after what you said about pitching, I think the Dodgers are still a better team. They're probably the better coach team. They have more experience in terms of veterans, in terms of coaching experience. All of that considered, they have the home field advantage. But at the end of the day, Arizona is playing well, and they're a force to be reckoned with. I think they take down the Dodgers, and I think they find themselves in the CS.
Yeah, I like Arizona. Arizona's 1-2 punch over the Dodgers with Zach Allen and Merrill Kelly. Like I said, I like Clayton Kershaw as a regular season pitcher. I don't like him as a postseason pitcher. I think Bobby Miller will have a good career when it's all said and done, but to be the game number 2 starter in the postseason, I think that's too early. They're relying too much on this rookie to do that. Just kind of like how the Cubs were kind of relying on Jordan Wicks at the end of the season. And it just happens. But one last thing before we move on here. Arizona versus Phillies or Braves. Do you think that matchup is a good matchup for either Atlanta or Philadelphia? Or do you think either one of those teams are going to kind of steamroll a young team like Arizona? Because I'm sorry, Joe, but I just want to make one point. The Braves and Philadelphia, they have a lot of people on that roster that have postseason experience, unlike Arizona. Arizona's a very young team. Phillies and Braves are a veteran type of team out there. But, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I can't believe, the Diamondbacks even are where they're at right now, to be honest. I'm actually pretty disgusted that, they were, one of the, worst teams when they played the Cubs, and all of a sudden they came out of fucking nowhere and started winning. I'm still shocked about that, to be honest.
It is shocking.
When did they start? Where did this come from them? Because didn't they start off half the season and they were like dog shit?
So actually, Arizona started off the season incredibly, like they played very well to start off the season. But Joe, this is where you are correct. At some point in the middle of the season, Arizona just could not win a ball game to save their life.
Yeah.
And you saw a team that went from I think 14 games above 500 quickly go to 500 in a pretty short amount of span.
Crazy how baseball.
So after that, Arizona obviously started playing out of their minds again, taking 6 out of 7 in September from the Cubs and beating everyone else. So
yeah.
Baseball is a pretty crazy sport, nonetheless.
Well,
excuse me. To finish my point, I think Arizona, like Baltimore, is a good team, 100%. But I think they're more geared towards next season. I think if Arizona makes the NLCS, which I really think they're going to, I think the Braves or the Phillies are gonna make some good work out of them and take it probably 5-5, I'd say. Brandon?
I think Arizona's hot. I think the Phillies or the Braves have, I think they shouldn't undermine what Arizona's doing in these playoffs.
Of course not. No way.
I still think, of course, Philadelphia or the Braves, and I think it will be Philadelphia. I think it's going to be Arizona versus Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia wins in 6.
That's going to turn out, it's already a rivalry, but that's going to turn out to be some insane rivalry.
Yeah.
Atlanta versus freaking Philadelphia. Philadelphia knocking them out of the postseason back-to-back years. Years as a wild card.
I also think Philadelphia has a chip on their shoulder. They made it last year. They got knocked out by the Astros. Bryce Harper's playing out of his mind right now. That's not going to change. I don't see the Phillies getting knocked out by the Braves.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. And then I think if you put the Phillies against Arizona, I think the Phillies overwhelm them.
Yep.
Because at that point, the Phillies would have home field advantage too, which I think will bury Arizona.
Yeah. That concludes my my baseball segment for the day. But great points.
All right, gentlemen.
Points, guys. Yeah.
Andrew, are you guys ready? Joe, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready, baby.
I'm ready.
The moment we've all been waiting for, guys. Hockey season is back as of October 10th, 2023. The Chicago Blackhawks were on the road against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and what a phenomenal game. As a spectator, it was a great time watching that game. All eyes were on Bedard throughout the entire league.
Of course.
First thing I'm going to start off with here is I'm going to start off with some hype, right? Some Connor Bedard hype, and then we'll get into the actual game. So, Penguins defenseman Chris Letang, as we all know, absolute future Hall of Famer, just like the other 3 guys on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Awesome.
He gave Bedard a couple of welcome to the NHL hits. If you watched the game, you would have seen them. They weren't anything too crazy, just right in the numbers. It was not an attempt to send a message, but because at the times it was the only way to keep up with Bedard. Basically, what I'm saying is, Bedard, Letang went on record saying that Bedard was so nimble, so agile, that him hitting Bedard was kind of his way of saying, hey, I need to slow you down. Letang actually went on to say, and I quote, "He's so good and he's so shifty. He has great moves. I had to play really hard against him. He's really deceptive. You can't even look at the puck 1 second because he's so fast." That's fantastic. That's a great thing to hear from one of the future Hall of Famers. Pittsburgh Penguins are a big rival of the Chicago Blackhawks, so we love to hear that.
One thing about Letang, excuse me, I couldn't talk for a second. That was weird. Letang is a very gritty type of player. He's a very in-your-face type of player. And just the simple fact that Letang had Bedard in his sights is a compliment in itself, to have such a young player like Bedard and such a good defenseman and player as in Letang, going at it, it's a good matchup, and that should make everyone feel good.
Well, yeah, it's like we had a conversation yesterday, Andrew. It's like and I know some of the commentators on the Blackhawks game mentioned it, but they were treating Bedard kind of like a veteran.
They were.
They weren't giving him that space. They weren't comfortable with giving him that shot. Instead, they really shored up their defense and did everything they could to kind of stop him from having those open looks. And I think when you're 18 years old and you're being treated like a veteran, and when your shot is garnering respect, and when you're just garnering respect as a player on the ice in general at 18 years old, that's incredible. When you're getting compared to Matthews and McDavid, that's incredible. So there's so much hype. We all know this, right? I don't want to beat a dead horse. I want to touch specifically on what I saw with my own eyes on yesterday's opening game and Connor Bedard's first NHL game of all time. In his debut game, Connor Bedard had his first point of all time. It was an assist in the second period goal, which was a goal by the right winger Ryan Donato, who's also a first string right winger, right, with Connor Bedard, who's also a first string center. Couple pluses that I saw from Connor Bedard specifically was that, first of all, he led the team with TOI, time on ice, with 21 minutes and 29 seconds. That's great. That's great. He's your young guy. Get him out there. Exactly. Get him the reps.
Just like Brandon said, you want your best player on the ice as often as possible. Obviously, you don't want to risk injury. You don't want to abuse the type of player, but Connor Bedard should 100% be around that 20-minute mark every game, if not more.
You know, and to no surprise, he also led the team. I mean, that just comes with being on the ice for a long time. But he also led the team with shots on goal. In my opinion, that's really good aggressiveness for a young kid. Just get him shots at the goal. I mean, of course, you know, you got to be strategic. There are going to be times where maybe you pass the puck, but I agree with it. Let the kid play out his first couple games with aggression.
And one thing, I think Bedard taking as many shots as he did, I think, you know, that's not really as likely, you know, down the road. I think, you know, maybe he just had, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he just wanted to get that first goal and out of the way. He wanted to get that first goal in his first game ever.
And thanks for segueing me into that, Andrew.
Yeah.
Because,
but over time, like, Bedard is going to learn to, you know, yes, I'm a sniper, I'm a playmaker 100%, but also look for the guy that's open as well. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, like I said, you segued me into that. I think with maturity, he is going to learn to adjust his game that way. I think some of the negatives that I saw from Bedard and things that I don't want to disregard is that, first of all, I think that he did try to make a play on the net in double, triple coverage, maybe far too many times in those situations where he could have dumped the puck, right, to maintain possession for his team, right? He put himself and his team in a position where he could turn over the puck, and that's just being young. That's just having that hunger to score that first goal and to make a play, make a spectacular play. So I saw a little bit of that from him. The only other negative that I saw from Bedard today, in his opening day, was that he went 2 for 13 on face-offs. So, you know, he won 15% of his face-offs. Don't forget, a lot of his face-offs were against one of the greatest of all time, Sidney Crosby.
Very true.
Let's not be surprised that Bedard didn't have a lot of success in that category.
I think everyone expected.
That to happen. Yeah. Just something I wanted to notate. Do you guys have any thoughts on Bedard? Joe, did you have a chance to watch the game at all, or not whatsoever? Andrew, what are your thoughts on Bedard? His opening game.
I will go first and answer that first. One thing I would like to backtrack, and then I'll answer your question. Bedard, I think, was trying to do too much in his opening game. He had those nerves rolling. It's important for, you know, instead of, like you said, trying to take the shot under double or triple coverage, you want to just dump the puck, because dumping the puck, number one, you don't want to turn the puck over. Number two, by dumping the puck, you get to change lines. You get fresh bodies out there, right. Healthy, you know, fresh bodies that can play as hard as, you know, you want them to. So it's always important, you know, to do that for sure. But I loved seeing Bedard out there. He was playing with some fire, and just like the Penguins said, they were treating him like a veteran out there. Because a guy of his caliber and magnitude being on the ice, that's just going to turn heads all around. Bedard is the type of player that's going to make everyone around him better. And it's as simple as that. I think, you know, it's going to be a blessing to watch this kid play throughout his career.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Andrew. The one thing I don't really agree, I mean, I kind of agree but kind of don't, is that, I mean, if you think you can take a shot and make a goal, take that shot, man. Like Wayne Gretzky always said, you'll miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but Wayne Gretzky also had, 89 million Hall of Famers on his team, so
I do.
That is bad.
Well, I'm not saying that.
Well, no, for sure, no,
definitely.
I
like that
quote,
but
but the quote is still very accurate.
Let me say one thing. Let me interject, Joe. I think what you said again is a beautiful segue into the next thing I was going to mention.
Wow, and we're doing good.
You guys are fucking amazing right now.
Good.
You guys are segueing me into the next thing, Joe. I agree with you. I think that I want to kind of move away from Bedard specifically. I want to move into just how the Blackhawks performed as a whole.
Sure.
I think another way that the Chicago Blackhawks kind of faltered in their opening day was that they didn't really capitalize on their power plays. In fact, neither team did. I think the Blackhawks as a whole went 0 for 4 on their power plays, which is mind-boggling considering they still managed to score 4 goals. They went 0 for 4 on power plays with just as many shots. So to Joe's point, and the reason that was such a great segue was because in those power plays, I feel like one of the main reasons why they weren't successful is because they just simply weren't taking shots. They were spending way too much time trying to build chemistry, trying to find an open look, and as a result, Pittsburgh was able to, get the ball, get it down to the other end of the ice.
And Brandon,
take the shots.
Brandon, 100%. You take the shots, and we were discussing this over the power plays that we saw last night. We saw a lot of passing, a lot of trying to make that pretty play. But sometimes, just like Joe said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, whatever.
And I think
you definitely the Hawks need to be more aggressive on the power play moving forward because there is too much of that pretty passing, trying to set up the perfect play. We want to see them fire shots on.
Yeah, and dude, I've said this 100% of my whole entire life that every time I watch hockey, and maybe it's because I'm not a big hockey guy, which I'll admit I'm not crazy. I mean, I like the Blackhawks. I'm a Blackhawks fan, absolutely, but I'm not like hockey's not my sport. Football is my sport. Basketball is my sport. But every time I watch hockey, the problem that I've always noticed, that's why I liked Wayne Gretzky. I know you said that, he had a bunch of MVP players on his team, but dude, take some shots in hockey, man. What are you guys doing? You're just this is because I'm not a hockey guy. I get it. I'm sure some hockey guy out there is oh, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. But fuck, man. Try to make some goals.
Well,
what are you guys doing?
Well, yes. I mean, Joe, to your point, 100%, you want to take the shots, but
yeah.
I will say, I'm not proving you wrong here, but both teams had damn near 40 shots on goals yesterday, so there were a lot of shots in this game, but not a lot of them went in.
Do 50, do 60, fuck. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
No, I mean,
I probably get killed in hockey.
Within the first 3 power play attempts, the Blackhawks had 4 shots on goal to end 3 power plays. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to shoot the ball more. You gotta set up bigger open looks. Excuse me, the puck. You know what? Hey, I'm the one taking Malört. All right, it affects me a little bit.
That's true.
No, but absolutely, the puck, right? So, just to keep moving along. Good points, gentlemen. The Penguins also didn't play well on the power play. They also went 0 for 2 on the power play,
which is surprising.
So neither team played well on the power play, and I think that also is a big factor as to why the Blackhawks lost. I think the power play was surprisingly ineffective, but it did affect the outcome of the game. I think, but I will say, I think, that's my point. I think one bright spot of that is that, yes, we didn't play well in the power play, but we played well shorthanded. We did, a team like the Penguins, who are very talented. They have some very good players. We shut down their power play. So that's a good thing to look at. I'll commend our defensive line, the defensive players for that here, or the defense, however you want to word it, right? But moving on from the power play.
Anytime you could keep freaking Malkin and Crosby at bay,
right?
That's just a head off to you.
That's right. Yeah. Moving on to one more part of the Chicago Blackhawks. The third thing I wanted to mention was that Petr Mrázek, he is worth mentioning in this segment here. He had 40 shots against him. There were only 2 goals against him. Of course, the score ended 4-2 in the Blackhawks' favor. He had 38 saves, equaling a 95% save percentage, right? He looked really good against the breakaway opportunities. There were surprisingly a lot of breakaway opportunities. There were surprisingly a lot of 2-against-1s at the net, breakaway opportunities, and I saw Mrázek snag a lot of open looks. So he did really well. Hats off to Mrázek. I think he has a bright future with us. I can't say for sure how I feel about him, but I am looking forward to seeing how he develops and just how he performs in the future as this season moves along.
If I could just say,
of course,
if Mrázek continues to play the way he did against Pittsburgh, 100% the Blackhawks are in a very good spot. And yeah, it like the goalie position in hockey is so important, and you see it all around the league, where a team is overall good, but they're lacking that goalie, that stud goalie, and they get bounced in the playoffs all the time. So if the Blackhawks are going to be, very successful moving forward, they're going to need guys like Bedard to pan out and be who he's supposed to be and a good goalie. So hopefully he can be that.
Yeah. And my good point, Andrew, and I think my overall thoughts are that I'm not going to overanalyze it. It was a wonderful opening night. As we speak, we are kind of keeping tabs on, the Chicago Blackhawks against the Bruins currently. Hopefully we can get a win there.
And win some money. Yeah.
And win some money here. But it's always a good sign when a young team like the Hawks can come back against a veteran-infested Pittsburgh Penguin team, especially on opening night, especially with all the pressure that comes with a huge debut like Bedard. So I don't want to talk about the Blackhawks too much. I think that as the season moves along, we are going to talk about them a lot. We're going to learn a lot about the Hawks. We're all going to learn together about Bedard, and we're going to keep tabs. But wonderful segment, boys. Can't wait to see what happens with the Hawks. Bright future for us. Joe, on that note, I know there's a little bit of a little bit of Chicago Bulls talk you wanted to touch on. You want to touch on that?
Well, we'll just go through some of this stuff real quick.
Okay.
I'm not going to spend long on this.
Yep.
I mean, they only had one preseason game. They played the Milwaukee Bucks, and they lost by three
The Bucks just got Damian Lillard too, which is pretty terrifying.
So the first preseason game, the Bucks, it was a close game, obviously, but you can't go anything by the preseason. It was 102 to 105. They lost. I did post a thing on Instagram about us being sick of losing to Wisconsin teams. I get it; it's the preseason, but man. Maybe it's good that Wisconsin doesn't have a Wisconsin NHL team because that's one less team you have to worry about losing to for Wisconsin. But Lonzo Ball, man, I think he's a bust this year. He's our point guard. So he tore his meniscus. Andrew, I think you talked about tearing your meniscus, ACL, LCL, and your knee bruise. They're talking about that the Bulls organization came out and said that he might never play again. Lonzo Ball.
Well, Lonzo Ball had 3 knee operations in 1 year because he kept on getting it kept on getting set back. It's it's kind of sad, and there's a reason why. Lonzo Ball is definitely a good player. He provides value. He's an assist machine. Very good defensive point guard. All around solid player. Could make the 3, could drive into the net. But Lonzo Ball had a history of being injured, and a lot of teams saw that. So a lot of teams kind of strayed away, and while the Bulls kind of gave him a lot of money to come to Chicago when teams were trying to back up to begin with. Yeah. So it was just don't think it was a good.
They took Chase Claypool.
Really. Right.
Yeah. Joe, if I could just comment, I think the only thing that concerns me about the Chicago Bulls,
unbelievable.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me about this game is that yes, it's a preseason game. You only lost by 3 points. I get it. It's the first game of the preseason. It's not a big deal. What does worry me is that all of our starters, Vukovic, DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine, they all saw about 20 minutes in this game, and Milwaukee did not even start Antetokounmpo. They didn't even start Damian Lillard at all. They didn't see a single minute on the field.
No kidding.
Or on the court. So it's
kidding.
Like, that is a little concerning to me.
That is very concerning.
If you are going to be successful, I don't give a shit if it's the first game of the preseason. Their two best players, and we all know how the NBA operates. It's a superstar-driven league. Your superstars change the game. You take a guy like Lillard, you take a guy like Antetokounmpo, and you don't give them a minute, and then you start all of your guys for 20 minutes, and you still lose, that's concerning. Day one, that's concerning to me.
So it says right here that Lonzo Ball is expected to miss the entire 2023-2024 season. So
he's done.
We won't be seeing him again this year. Honestly, probably for the rest of his career. Probably end up retiring.
Signed a 4-year, $85 million contract.
Yeah. And that entire 4-year has been on the injury list or whatever they call it in the NBA. So great signing, Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah. So it reminds me kind of like Derrick Rose. You know, when healthy, it could be one of the best shooters in the NBA. But obviously, I mean, it doesn't do you any good if he's not playing. So, a little bit about Lonzo Ball. He was picked first round, number 2 overall in 2017 by the Lakers. Talked about his meniscus tear.
He actually needs cartilage transplant surgery. That's what it says right here. According to ESPN, he's on track to get a cartilage transplant in his left knee, so that's great. Man. Yeah, that's great.
So we'll move on. I mean, that's just Chicago luck for you right there. So our starting 5, Vukovic, I think we talked about him a little bit. He's our center, one of the better 3-point shooters in the league, making 34% of the 3 points that he makes, which is decent. Levine, talked about him, our shooting guard. Probably the best player on the Bulls. He was the only All-Star to make the season last year. Or last season, I mean. Averaging 27.4 points per game, 42% from the 3 on 8.2 attempts. Led the Bulls in 3-point attempts. 4th highest in 3-point percentage in the league. Moving on to DeMar DeRozan. He is our shooting guard. Small forward, selected as reserve for the 2023 All-Star Game, averaging 27.9 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, 4.9 assists, leads the Bulls in scoring.
I think the Bulls need to just blow the team up. Not literally.
Well, I don't think they need to blow it up, dude. Like on paper, anyways. Like the Bulls actually have a pretty solid 5 starters. Everyone's talking trash about the Bulls, that no one's excited this year, that they're not going anywhere. But to be honest, man, on paper they should be a pretty solid team, or a competitive team. They should be competitive this year.
Well, the reason why they're going to be competitive is because of the NBA's new play-in playoff system, which allows mediocre to average teams to make the playoffs. So that's why I think people say the Bulls will be competitive. I just don't see it. I think a lot of injuries, a lot of players not playing up to the hype. You know, Zach LaVine getting the max contract and him only, scoring 20 points a game with absolutely zero defense. I think it's time for Jerry Reinsdorf and the Bulls to just sell off all their assets, in my opinion.
So you're saying a total rebuild?
I think that's what they need.
Well, I think we should. We'll know more at the end of the year. I mean, they got Kobe White, which is a potential player. He's also part of the starting 5. He showed a lot of promise his rookie year. Averaging 13.2 points per game, not real flashy, but 35% from the 3-pointer on 5.8 attempts. Last year, everyone, the way he performed last year the 2 years ago compared to the last year. Everyone was expecting last year he was going to make a huge leap, and he pretty much just stayed the same. I guess it's better than regression, but hopefully this year, he had a pretty good game in the preseason. I know you can't really go much by the preseason, but he did have a pretty solid game. So hopefully, there is some promise with him. So I mean, I know you were saying, Andrew, like we need to rebuild, but hey, let's see what we got this year, or at least halfway through the season. Let's see what we got. If we don't have anything, it's not there, then yes, absolutely. Let's probably, push the panic button and start the rebuild. Patrick Williams, he's our power forward. So this guy on paper sounds like dog shit, but he's actually, more of a defense guy. He's ranked 130 in points, 131st in rebounds, 150 plus in assists, 76 in field goal percentage, 41.5 in hitting the 3-pointers, which is actually pretty decent. Was number 4 overall pick by the Bulls in 2020, so he's a first-round draft pick. So this is what Morton Jensen on Forbes had to say about him. Williams is a good defender with the potential to become a great one. He's able to guard most forwards, but is versatile enough to switch onto bigger players and even smaller guards when the situation calls for it. So yeah, obviously more of a defense guy, but I mean, kind of reminds me of more of like Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was more of, he got you the rebound, got you the assist, more of a defender than, that guy that, scored points. So I think that the Bulls will be competitive this year, and I think the next following year is the year to look forward to, where they make some adjustments and retool some things. So hopefully, maybe this year, obviously, maybe they'll make the playoffs, being competitive. But I think next year is where they're going to be more of a playoff contender. So that's all I got on the Bulls.
Because and these Chicago teams, we need something here.
Yeah.
I just think the Bears have some good pieces. I mean, when you look at Vukovic, for example, I mean, he's a very spotty center. He has some really breakout games, but he also just isn't consistently that good. But overall, when you look at it, the big picture, the Bulls do have some good starting pieces. I mean, DeRozan, no one can deny what he's done over the last couple of years.
Well, you saw in 2021 was Zach LaVine.
Absolutely. Exactly. And Zach LaVine is a very good. I think you've seen some really good things out of Patrick Williams. I think you've seen some good things out of Bobby Portis. Scratch that, but scratch that. He's with Milwaukee, I believe. But my point is, I think the Bulls. Man, I can't talk. Like you said earlier, Joe, the Bulls need to shore up their bench. I think the Bulls. Yeah, right. All these bees. I think the Bulls need to shore up their bench. Kind of put all the pieces together. I think they have some good pieces, but when you don't have a good bench, it's like in the MLB. You can have a very, very good offense, but if your pitching's terrible, you're not going to be successful. All successful teams in any leagues have a very deep team all around. I think the Bulls really struggle with their bench. I think once their starters come off the field, or off the court, I think they struggle. So, you know what? Like Joe said, I think it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress for me. I think there's a lot to be learned for me personally in terms of the Chicago Bulls. I'm looking forward to following them this season and seeing what adjustments they make. And that's all I have on the Bulls today, and I look forward to kind of keeping up with them.
Absolutely. Just so you know, the Boston Bruins just scored another goal, so the score right now is 1-2.
Yeah, not good.
Not good. You have a bet on them.
Yeah.
No.
That's all I got on the Bulls, and obviously the Bears. We covered a little bit of the Cubs and the MLB playoffs and the Blackhawks. Not really much on the Sox. I mean, hopefully they make some summer adjustment or some winter adjustments. Mm-hmm. But we will go into the beer review now. So right now we are drinking what is called a Voodoo Ranger. So our last Voodoo Ranger we drank was an Imperial IPA. This one is just the regular IPA one. It is made by New Belgium Brewing Company, which also produces Fat Tire. That's another famous one they're known for. Looks good, Brandon. It's just a regular IPA, so India Pale Ale. The difference between the Imperial IPA and the regular one is that an Imperial Pale Ale is like a stronger version of the American IPA. So it boosts even more hoppy flavor, aroma, and bitterness. Imperial Indian Pale Ales, they're darker in color than the American IPA, substantially more bitter, and have a higher alcohol volume. So that's really the only difference. If you prefer hoppier beers, then the Imperial IPA is like probably more for you. This is more of just like a casual, like sipping, chill beer. I like the Imperial IPA. To be honest, I don't really know much of a bigger difference than the two. Maybe that's just me, but it's a pretty solid beer. If you like not so hoppy beers that are IPAs, I would say this is one for you. If I had to rate this beer on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 obviously being the best beer ever, I would rate this beer.
And Joe, what's the worst?
The worst beer, I would have to say.
That shit we had last week.
I thought it was Bud Light.
Yeah, for me, I hate Bud Light. It's just a gross beer to me. It doesn't taste good. But I would say that this beer is a 7 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
A good review, Joe. He obviously covered the basics, Voodoo Ranger, New Belgium Brewing Company, etc., etc. I give this beer a 5.5 out of 10. A couple notes I have written down for this is that it gets better the more drunk you are.
Hey, Andrew's the one that picked this out.
So, I mean, I did. Well, the other Voodoo Ranger
was an Imperial IPA.
Yeah, it was Imperial IPA.
It was better.
That was actually really good. So I was kind of hoping for more out of this beer, but nonetheless, it's still drinkable. And the artwork is obviously pretty cool. You know, the whole skull with the drill instructor hat on and the Punisher jacket. It's cool. So final score is 5.5 out of 10.
Good rating, guys. I agree. I think the artwork is pretty neat. I think I thought it had a good taste to it, not too hoppy. Compared to some of the other ones I've had. And for a 7% beer, I think it went down pretty easily. I think this is something that I could actually see myself drinking throughout the night, kind of enjoying. So I think I could give it a modest 6.5. Nothing crazy. I'm not gonna over glorify it. But it wasn't bad. It's something that I would be happy to drink for a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you. Until next time. So next, this video will be.
And make sure to like and subscribe, comment, and share this video with whoever you can for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for everything.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Yeah, stay tuned.
And looking forward to doing this next week.
We're only going to get better.
Next week, obviously, we do record a podcast once a week. So usually we record it Wednesday nights and then upload it, Wednesday nights, upload it Thursday morning, like afternoon. So that's usually the range. If not, then it'll be either recorded Thursday night, then uploaded Friday afternoon. So right around that range.
And also, one more thing before you end it, Joe.
Yep.
If you guys have any suggestions for us or any cool ideas, that you guys want to share, feel free to say that in the comment section. We read all the comments. Of course, we read all the comments. So that's another thing you guys can do. Thank you, guys.
Out.